Is watching films a good way to improve your English speaking? Yo, yo, yo! I'm Julian Northbrook from doingenglish.com, here to help you, the intermediate to advanced English learner, master the English language with less stress, less hassle, and fewer of those goddamn headaches. So, good question. Can watching films, and I guess TV as well, be a good way to improve your English speaking? Now, I've got a short answer to this and a slightly longer answer. The short answer is really, honestly, just sitting back and passively watching the telly, whether it be films or TV or indeed really any kind of passive exposure to English, as an intermediate to advanced English learner isn't going to be particularly helpful for your productive English skills, that is, your speaking. Now, you might improve your comprehension a little bit, although the higher your level already is, the less of that you'll do as well, simply because when you reach the intermediate stage and the advanced stage, you already know a lot of English. You understand enough English that you can watch and understand. I mean, you're watching a video in English now, and I assume understanding. Well, there are gonna be things in the language that you're being exposed to that you don't know, but your brain does a pretty damn good job of just filling in the gaps with extra information. It sees my facial expressions, my wild, over-the-top gestures, and it fills in the gaps. So even if you don't know half of the English that I'm using, well, it doesn't really matter because your brain fills it all in. And again, you might know all the words that you need as well, you just don't really know how to combine those words yourself. Well, you are unlikely to simply just notice all of that through passive listening. Simply put, what you did as a beginner, when you were a beginner, everything was totally new. So you notice a lot more in the language stream coming at you out of the film, out of the TV, whatever it is. And you're more likely to just pick stuff up. But what you did as a beginner and what you need to do as an intermediate to advanced English learner, completely different. This, of course, is not to say that films and TV can't be a good source of input, a good source of language to study actively, that is, a good material to use. On the contrary, films can be a great material to use and to study, to learn the language that you need, put it in your head so that you can then practice it and automate that. Is it the most effective kind of material that you can find? Are films and TV as effective as materials designed for the intermediate to advanced English learner? No, definitely not. And check this video for a detailed discussion on that, where I compare real, authentic materials, i.e. films and TV, with materials that have been designed and optimized for people just like you, the language learner. Certainly in terms of time and effectiveness, materials designed for people just like you, as long as they're designed well, are going to be much, much better than films or TV which are not optimized at all and are really designed for consumption by, well, native speakers. Again, watch this video for a detailed discussion on that. Now for the slightly longer answer. And without wishing to sound like I'm completely contradicting myself here, watching films and TV can be an excellent way to improve your English speaking. Yes, 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 I know, it sounds like I just told you two completely different opposite things. But what we are talking about here is not the language or the learning or the input of the language that you need. No, we're talking about something else that you need for your English speaking. The K of what I call the LKC triangle. This idea that you need three things to speak English really, really well. You need the language. Of course, if you don't have the phrases and the expressions, the chunks of language that you need to express the things that you want to communicate, you're not going to get very far. But that in and of itself is not enough. You also need the K of the LKC triangle. And this is really what we're going to be talking about in this video. Knowledge, background knowledge of the things you want to talk about. Content, interesting stuff to talk about. If you've got nothing to say, well, having the words and expressions that you need aren't going to help you because you've still got nothing interesting to say. Many people are concerned because they sound boring when they speak English. And yes, the language part is an important part of that. There are interesting ways to construct the sentences and the phrases and the expressions that you're using. That is important, but it's not going to save you if you are boring, if you've got nothing to talk about. You also need one more thing, the C of the LKC triangle. That is culture, and that is a topic for another day. But films and TV can be an excellent source of interesting conversation topics. And yes, I know this might sound obvious, but bear with me because we're going to go a little deeper into this. Let me use my business, Doing English, as an example here. Several years ago, when I first decided to quit my job and make Doing English my full-time job and become a freelancer. That was several years ago now. Doing English, or rather I should say my company, Northbrook Limited, is now a full-blown company, a corporation with employees, staff, a production team, and things are a little different now. But several years ago, it was just me. Completely by myself, sitting here, well, in this same little home office, working away at my computer. Years and years and years of corporate conditioning, working for other people, working for bosses who, frankly, didn't have a clue what they were doing in various places. You know what it's like being employed in a company. Had conditioned me to believe that I had to be super productive all the time. And productivity meant work, 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 work. So I'd always be there at my computer, typing away, doing this, doing that, and generally making myself quite tired. What I never did though, because I believed this was not something that should be a part of the productive working day, was to just sit down and watch TV, watch films. I mean, that's something that you do in your leisure time, right? Wrong. You see, I now know that watching films is actually one of the most productive things that I can do on the job. My most productive time in the office working is actually not spent writing or filming videos or planning the EES lessons or whatever it is that I'm doing that is more traditional work, but is actually spent sitting on my sofa, which you can't see because it's below the camera, watching a film. I make a habit of watching at least 3 films a week. At one time, I made a habit of watching a film every single day. When I can do that, I still like to do it, but recently, I've got to be honest, despite it being my most productive thing that I can do, you know, I've had to prioritize other things like my research and running kids back and forth to basketball practice and all that stuff in the evenings. You know what it's like. Business, work, parents, blah, 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 blah. Now, the point is, and the reason I'm telling you this, and the reason that watching films is so productive for me, is because I am in the business of teaching content, essentially. Whether it's one of these YouTube videos, one of my daily emails, one of the Extraordinary English Speakers lessons, one of my books, one of the other courses that I make, 2-Step Speaking, for example. I am in the business of taking the core key concepts that you need to learn and understand and delivering that to you in a way that is interesting, because let's face it, we learn better when we are interested, when we're enjoying something, when we're entertained, when we're having fun, but also easy and concise to understand. And what is one of the best ways to explain and deliver difficult abstract concepts? And let's face it, a lot of the things that I teach are quite difficult abstract concepts. Well, story is one of the best ways to do that. Interesting stories, anecdotes, metaphors, examples. Take this month's issue of the EES Gazette, for example. I don't have one here to show you because it's at the printers and it hasn't come yet. But it's all about mindset, the importance of mindset, and of losing a lot of the mental baggage that we all get stuck with. You know, we pick up all this crap and we dump it in our brains and it holds us back. Negative thoughts, opinions, attitudes, false beliefs. Well, at some point we've got to throw all of that away. And in this month's issue of the EES Gazette, I go through that process. But it's emotionally very, very difficult, and it's quite abstract, and it's quite hard stuff. So what did I do? I took a scene from the film The Martian, brilliant film by the way, and used that as a metaphor to explain the whole thing. Result, we've got this very difficult, emotionally hard, abstract concept explained in a very concrete, very easy to understand, and entertaining way. In my book, Master English Fast, I use a scene from the film Captain America: Civil War to explain how to learn and improve your grammar as an intermediate to advanced English learner. In one of my Kindle books, Fearless Fluency, I use a scene from Nancy Meyer's film The Intern to explain the concept of inner confidence, something that is, again, quite abstract and can be quite uncomfortable. Well, by taking this scene from this film and using that as an example and as a metaphor, it's very easy to explain exactly what inner confidence is and what it means to you as an English learner. I've used the film The Karate Kid as a metaphor for learning English and written an entire email series about it. I've written daily emails about scenes from Lost in Translation, Sliding Doors, Jurassic World, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. The list is endless. But the point is, a big, huge part of what we do with language is the communication of content. Interesting concepts, ideas, stories, and just learning the language, just the words and the phrases and the expressions, although they are essential, and yes, the way that we speak has a big impact on how interesting we are. Again, if we are boring and we've got nothing to talk about, no content in our heads, well, it doesn't really matter how good the language skills that we've got are. We're still fucking boring. And honestly, having interesting stuff to talk about is half the battle, which is why my long answer to the question, how useful is watching films for improving your English speaking, my answer is very, very, very useful. Just not necessarily in the way that you thought. In terms of actually learning the phrases and expressions of English, yes, films can make for good materials, but no, they're really not the most effective materials that you can get for improving your English speaking. People like me who design materials for intermediate to advanced English learners can produce something much, much better and much more effective for you. Check out my Extraordinary English Speakers program if you are interested in that. Link in the description, or head over to extraordinaryenglishspeakers.com. But in terms of having interesting content in your head, stuff to talk about, films, TV as well, books, fiction, really any kind of story, absolutely amazing. Get into the habit of watching more films. Of course, do it in English. There's no reason not to. Yeah, you might pick up a few little bits and pieces. It might help you to improve your listening comprehension a little bit. Personally, I would recommend against only doing that. You need to supplement those films and things with some actual proper language learning and intensive practice if you really want to get good at actually speaking productively. But in terms of getting that interesting content into your head, brilliant. Watch more films. Whew, that turned into a bit of a long rant, didn't it? But it's important stuff. If you want to speak English really, really well, remember you need these three things: the language, knowledge, and culture. We'll talk more about the culture bit another time, and we'll talk about all these things a bit more another time. Leave a comment. What's your favourite film? What film would you recommend that I watch? What film would you recommend that other people watch? And why? What is interesting about it? I'm looking forward to seeing your responses. If you need a way to improve your language skills, learn the English that you need, stick it in your head and then practice it and get really, really good at it, I recommend you check out my Extraordinary English Speakers program. Link in the description, or head over to extraordinaryenglishspeakers.com. This is me, Julian Northbrook, signing off once again. Leave a comment telling us about your whatever film it is that you recommend. If you're new to this channel, subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. If you hated it, fuck knows why you watched all the way to the end, but hey, give it a thumbs down anyway, and I'll see you, my friend, same time, same place, tomorrow in another daily video from me, Julian Northbrook. Just before I go, if you enjoyed this video and found it useful, you're definitely going to want to check out this one where I talk about real, authentic learning materials versus materials designed for English learners, and also this video where I talk about a little experiment that I did last year where I watched a Japanese film every single day and the result that that had on my Japanese speaking ability.